In order for you to attract a healthy provider husband or create a business and work and attract money in a way that's a lot more easy and a lot more pleasurable, then a lot of women are going to have to learn how to drop their masculine shield in order to have a life where there is more provision for them, things are easier, they attract things like love and money more easily. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining how I did that to not only attract a husband in 4 months, a provider husband, once I was ready to get married, but also create new brands and businesses where opportunity and money just comes like this. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stick around until the end, because I'm going to be explaining the psychology of why a lot of women build a masculine shield around themselves, and also how to start releasing it. Hi, my name is Amanda Abea. Welcome to this channel where we talk about how to manifest what you want in life without all the extra stress, chaos, and drama that most people are accustomed to. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video that we have coming out on this channel. Lately, we're doing a lot of stuff about masculine energy, feminine energy, polarity, dynamics in relationships. It's the most requested topic on this channel. I know a lot of you have also requested some money manifesting videos, so we'll get to that as well. I'm going to cover that a little bit today for those of you who've been asking. So again, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, and you can find all the courses that I have available, all the ways that you can work with me down below. Okay, let's get into this whole masculine shield. So let's talk about what a masculine shield on a woman looks like. A masculine shield is a protective shield that a woman takes on in order for her to feel safe. So if we were to look at healthy relationship dynamics where masculine and feminine energy, then the masculine is typically the one that provides protection and provision so that the feminine can feel safe. The problem that a lot of women feel in today's day and age is that they don't feel safe. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it could be because of something that happened in their childhood. It could be because of what they were taught. So for example, I was taught that men and the world in general was unsafe and that my life would be harder and more dangerous because I'm a woman. Therefore, I had to work really hard and compete with men and that whole thing. So that's a part of it. It could be cultural things, like now we live in the age of, like, I don't know, I think we're on 4th wave feminism or something like that. That's definitely jacked a lot of people up and confused them in terms of creating healthy relationship dynamics where there's still spark, where people are still having sex. In other words, because we're in a situation right now where a lot of marriages, people are either miserable or they feel like they're roommates. And a lot of it has to do because the women are extremely masculine, the men have become more feminine, and there's no spark because she becomes like his mom, he becomes like her child, and nobody wants to have sex with a family member. So that's a part of what is going on in society. So there's lots of reasons why women will take on this masculine shield, and you'll hear it come out in ways like, I don't need a man to pay my bills. Which, even if that's true, why would you go around saying that? Like, there's no reason to have to go around saying that. The second thing is, I don't need a man to take care of my problems. Sis, yes, you do. Need a man to take care of some of your problems. Otherwise, you end up in a relationship dynamic where you're the one solving all the problems. It might also come up in, you'll see it a lot in very high achieving women, where they will avoid relationships. For example, hi, hello, that was me for a long time. I see you, I feel you, I know what that's like. You'll see it come up in those types of dynamics, and oftentimes, those women tend to struggle a lot more in the love department. And believe it or not, making money could be easier for them as well. You might think, right, that because they're making money and they're very high achieving and that they're successful, that money comes easily to them. Now, that may be true, right? But what if I told you that if you actually tap into your feminine energy and release masculine shields, then work becomes more pleasurable, more opportunities become attracted to you more easily, and you wouldn't have to work as hard, right? And that's one that took me a while to wrap my head around, because most of my mentors in business and things like that for 10, 15 years were mostly men. And now my husband's been one of my best mentors ever in terms of business. But obviously that's a different dynamic. Before I met my husband and before I had really tapped in more into my feminine energy, I was in industries that were basically dominated by high performing men. So that is who I pretty much learned from. So I thought that the only way to make money was to struggle as much as a man does, or to have to go hard as a man does. And until I realized, yeah, no, physically, literally can't do it because we're built differently, and I have no desire to compete with men. Oh, that's another dynamic you'll see in women sometimes with the masculine shield is they'll want to compete with men, and then they wonder, like the women who are in these dynamics, they usually wonder why, okay, how about when I date guys, they don't solve my problems, or they don't really care about how I'm feeling, or they don't care about my well-being. They might be paying your bills, but they don't care about your well-being. Or sometimes they end up in dynamics where if they are in a relationship, they're the one who's solving all the problems. They have that mom-child dynamic thing going on, or they have a roommate dynamic going on. Or another dynamic that happens is like, this is usually the girl who's like friends with guys, but they just see her as like another bro. They don't see her as like a woman they would like to pursue, or a woman that they would like to date. So those are the characteristics in terms of how it shows up. And then those are some of the results that you get in your love life. And in terms of money, yeah, you just grind as hard as a man does, not realizing that you don't have to. You usually tend to fall into the work hard versus smart category. But it's not even about working smart. It's just about becoming more magnetic and more attractive so that things more easily come to you because you are attracting them into your field and your orbit. When you have a masculine shield up, nothing can get in. Love can't get in. Money might be able to get in, but it comes at a high cost to your health or your sanity or your relationships, usually, because you're doing it like a man. And you're not meant to do it like a man. Now you understand, why this shield comes up, what it looks like, and the results that people get as a result of it. The question now becomes, how do we begin to get rid of it? Well, you just did step one, which was becoming aware that you have a masculine shield to begin with, right? So if you find yourself saying things like, I don't need men to solve my problems, that's one conversation you're going to want to change. Because I think a lot of times women say that because they don't want to feel like they are not capable, right, of doing things themselves. No one is saying that you are not capable. I am not saying that you are not capable. I am a capable woman, right? Before I got married, I had very successful businesses. I could take care of myself. I am capable. But it's not about whether or not I'm capable. It's about whether or not I feel safe in a relationship and whether or not I feel safe to be in my feminine. It's about having an easier life. So if you go around saying all the time, I don't need a man to solve my problems, you're going to have a harder life because no man is going to go around solving your problems. And guess what? Men love to solve women's problems. Men love to solve problems, period. If your man is not solving your problems, something is off in terms of the polarity of the relationship, because men are problem-solving machines. I can't even mention a problem to my husband without him dropping everything and going to fix it right then and there. I've had to learn, and it's kind of a funny thing, where if there's like a tech issue or something came up in an email, or like the Alexa isn't working, like if I don't need the problem solved right then and there, I need to keep my mouth shut until I need the problem solved, because if I tell him something right then and there, he will solve it right then and there. Sometimes not the best timing because I was in the middle of something else. So funny anecdote in terms of that. So pay attention to the stuff that you're saying, right? Are you walking around saying, I don't need no man? Are you walking around saying, I don't need a guy to fix my problems? Are you walking around saying, I don't need a guy to pay my bills? You may not need a guy to pay your bills. You may not need, and don't put yourself in a position where you need a guy to pay your bills. You may not need to have a man solve your problems, right? But why wouldn't you want that? Because masculine men, and most of you want to attract masculine men, love to solve your problems and love to provide for you. But if you have a shield up, they can't even see you. They can't even see you. I had this interesting story come up recently with one of my husband's friends where, they were telling me, and my husband's been friends with this person for many years. and we were like way before he even met me. And she was having some issues in the dating department, and I was helping her. I'm like, well, what kind of a guy do you actually want? And she started telling me what kind of a guy she actually wanted. I'm like, that's my husband, right? So then I went to my husband, and I was like, you've known her for years, but you were never attracted to her. Nothing ever had. You guys are like bros, right? Like, just like, why? Because you've been in front of her the whole time, and she's saying that this is the type of person she wants. And he's like, oh, I just never saw her that way because she tends to be more on the masculine side of things. So take that into account, that if you're going around, giving off this masculine shield and protecting yourself all the time, the guy you want could be right in front of you, right? But he's going to find his dream girl somewhere else because she doesn't have that shield up. So interesting story. Pay attention to what you're saying. Pay attention to what your beliefs are about men. This was really big for me. I had to totally change my beliefs about men because I had been raised to believe that, men were basically useless. And a lot of women have the belief that men are useless and can't solve problems and, are not. A lot of women, it's really interesting, have the belief that men are not capable. Therefore, the woman is the one who needs to be capable, and she's the smarter one, and she's like the elevated species. For lack of a better term, I can't think of another way of saying it right now, but it's interesting because those are the same women, right, who will end up with a to-do list that's like 3 months long. Those are the same women who are not having sex. Those are the same women who complain about men all the time. Well, yeah, because you think they're not capable and they're dumb and they can't do things and that you're the one who has to be capable, but the truth is, that's not true at all. There's plenty of capable, healthy men out here, and masculine men are super capable. So pay attention to your beliefs about what it is you actually believe about men. Do you believe that it's safe to be around men? Do you believe that men are capable beings, for putting it that way? Do you believe that you are worthy of being provided for? Do you believe that you are worthy of love? Really pay attention to these beliefs, because a lot of times that shield goes up because we don't believe that we're worthy of it, or that shield goes up because we're insecure because we've perhaps been hurt in the past, or we saw unhealthy relationship dynamics. We think that's normal. We don't, then we've experienced it and then we don't want to repeat it again. So we're like this, or we just haven't ever seen an example of a healthy relationship, so we think all men are trash, and then we go like this and we start shielding ourselves. So that's another thing to keep in mind in terms of bringing down that masculine shield, is what are your actual beliefs. And the final thing, and then start shifting those. And then the final thing I would say is usually women who have a masculine shield up. One of the tells when I'm talking to a woman as to whether or not she has a masculine shield is when I sense all the energy up here in her head, but she's basically like dead from the neck down. If I'm speaking to a woman and I feel all the energy up here, and by the way, men are even more sensitive to a woman's energy than other women are. So if I can sense it, you bet your bottom dollar that men can sense it too. They may not be consciously aware of it, but they can sense it. But like all the energy is up here in the head. The overthinking, the overanalyzing, the overfunctioning, the over problem solving, the overachieving, like all everything's up here from the neck up is all the energy. The perfectionism, that's another one. But from the neck down, she's dead. Totally dead, energetically. So you have to become consciously aware of that as well, and learn techniques and strategies. And if you would like me to do other videos on this, I can, but learn techniques and strategies for bringing that energy back down into your body. There's like meditations that I do when I find myself like way too much up here, right? I'm like, whoa, gotta bring it back down in my body. So I become a lot more magnetic, especially before I go hang out with my husband, okay? If I'm like too much mental energy, let me, and we're not working or anything like that, like we're out on a date or something like that, or we're out at a restaurant and I'm feeling way too much energy. There are actual meditations I will do to chill out in that moment, and then I automatically become more receptive and more magnetic to him, and not just him, but money, right? So for those of you who've been asking about money, and more money manifesting stuff, if you learn to drop that masculine shield, you will also bring in money a lot more easily because people are going to be more naturally attracted to you. They're going to want to give to you, whether it's solving your problems or a man giving you provision or a man giving you money or more clients being attracted to you. It's interesting because if we look at astrology, Western astrology, if you look at the seventh house, then the seventh house is dedicated to relationships, long-term committed relationships and partnerships. And a lot of people think that only talks about marriage in the seventh house, but it's also your audience and your marketplace is in the exact same house in astrology. So isn't it interesting, right, that when you become more magnetic, you don't just become more magnetic to men and healthy masculine men with your husband, but you also become a lot more magnetic to opportunity, to money, in ways that are more pleasurable and in ways that are easier for you to bring in the money rather than continuing to try and do it like a dude. If you want me to do another video on that and doing business like a feminine woman and not a dude, then let me know in the comments below. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for giving me your time today. I'll catch you on the next one. All the ways to work with me, courses we have available, email list, all that stuff is in the description below. I do not have any courses yet available on energetics or dating or any of that stuff because I just haven't had the time to do them. However, you can book some one-on-one sessions with me as they are available because I do this in my free time. As they're available, then you can book them below, and then those courses are incoming once I have the time. What you're going to find a lot more now is like business courses, money manifestation courses, stuff that I've had for a really long time. The energetic ones, they're coming, they're not there yet, but in the meantime, if that's what you're interested in, you can book a one-on-one session with me below. All right, I will catch you on the next one.